All right, go ahead, Jacob.
Awesome. Well, I actually realized after I made this PowerPoint that I didn't include any pictures of the law school. So there it is. That is the library, the Langdale Library. So that's like the most iconic building of the school. Anyways, here we go. So to figure out how to do this in. Nope, stop that. And awesome. Can everybody see the PowerPoint? Awesome. Okay. So just to give you guys a little bit of some cool numbers. So each class in the 3-year program has about 560 or so students. This year, our count was a little lower. Out of the 7 sections, instead of it being 80 students, we have something like 70. So it's about a 12% reduced number this year. So I think that means something like 500 instead of 560. I don't know how to do math. Lost that ability once I got into law school. But the law school itself accounts for more than a quarter of all the Supreme Court clerks, more than any other law school in the United States, with Yale being a close second. But Yale has a smaller population, so it's very competitive between us and Yale at the law school. And then, as most of you probably know, several of the justices on the Supreme Court are graduates of HLS. But to give you guys a little bit of background about how HLS came to be and some of the more dramatic stuff that's happened at our school. So the law school is the oldest law school in the country. And it was established through a bequest from the royal family, a slaveholder family who immigrated to Boston. And you can see their coat of arms, their emblem, their shield, all right there with its 3 wheat sheaves, which, as you all probably also know, is no longer the shield of HLS. So I have a little bit more on that later, but it essentially had to do with the royal family being the slaveholding family. So essentially, the shield has always been kind of a problem at HLS, but it finally came to a peak in right around 2015, 2014. The emblem actually was not used very widely until the early 20th century. So that's another reason kind of why it wasn't really problematic as much earlier, as well as for other reasons. But I put Tapegate because we love naming things after gate. But that was a pretty big deal back in the day, where essentially the faces of Black professors on the portraits around the school were covered up with black tape. So that was kind of a pretty dramatic event that happened and caused a lot of people to kind of really push for systematic change in the emblem. So essentially, Dean Minow convened a committee to reevaluate it. The committee recommended that the emblem should be removed from the school, and the corporation agreed. And so that happened in 2016. Very forebodingly, I put at the very end that it's been about 4 years and we still do not have a seal. Oh, sorry. But that's actually changing as we speak. Last year, the school finally convened a committee to pick a new shield. It was briefly put on hold during the pandemic, but now it is back in full swing. And there's um, there's definitely some movement happening there. So hopefully we'll be able to see a shield maybe in our lifetime. Who knows? Sounds a little far fetched, but we'll see. It only took 4 years so far, so that's just yeah. All right, and so next is an issue very near and dear to a lot of law students' hearts. This happened right around 2 years ago. So back then, the biggest problems people faced at law school was whether or not there were enough staplers around the printers for people to print their materials. And it was a humongous deal. The administration and the students were just, they just went at it. It really was a great crisis. Caused a lot of tension, broke a lot of friendships, caused a lot of havoc, but eventually that was resolved, and the school started putting staplers next to the printers, and students rejoiced. As always, people always can complain, and there's still a little bit of grumblings because the printers in the second floor of Wasserstein don't have staplers next to them, so you have to go into the basement to get the staplers. But you just can't appease law students. They'll fight you over anything, as we've seen. So, going on a little bit to some of the stuff that student government has been tackling so far, a little more, just about as dramatic as the stapler crisis, I would say. But student government has really been fighting for increased classroom recordings. Essentially, the policy at HLS is a little strict, and everybody has pretty big problem with it, but the university has stuck by its position. And even though it's been more or less a dead end so far, we do think that it's worth fighting for, and it's a fight that has been renewed over and over in different ways. But I think it's especially salient in Zoom room. So that's really something. And I think we can always complain about grades. So I just put a little sampling of some of the things that we have tried advocating for in terms of the grading system. Specifically right now, the advocacy has been centered for around online school and trying to make it less aggressive during these times, but again, seems kind of a difficult challenge and another fight that we've been having for quite a while. We always talk about mental health. HGC is always a great resource for mental health awareness. So that's something we've been tackling as well. Just trying to increase knowledge about the resources more than anything, because they're there. People just have to find them, right? And then another thing that we've been trying to do is just the increased coronavirus testing, which is pretty available for people who live on campus, but is not necessarily available for many people living in the Cambridge area. So that's one of the biggest fights that we've been having. And on a lighter note, I wanted to talk about some of the things that we have been able to accomplish, other than being able to find victory in the Great Stapler Crisis. So student government has been partnering up with the Dean of Students Office to have a bigger role in orientation. So that's always really nice to hear when the university is open to that kind of dialogue. We do a lot of events So in the first picture there, that was the winning picture actually for last year's Halloween costume contest. We did another one this year. I don't think we've decided on winners yet, but I think that was a rendition of 7 Years a Slave, and people turned it into 3 Years a Slave for how long law school lasts. So pretty salient stuff. Then we've also done Harry Potter trivia, a personal favorite, Harvard Law School. Look at all those cute little dogs. Ah, love dogs. I wish I had my dog up here. Should have brought him. Hindsight's 2020. And then we have like the 1L Cup, apple picking, and just custodial and dining staff appreciation. So that was all just last year too. We've already done some great stuff this year. So I'm pretty pleased with what we've been able to do. But there's so many challenges ahead, like I listed out. And we're gonna keep fighting the good fights. And one day, I hope that we can return to the moments where fighting for staplers is the biggest problem of our class. And with that, that ends my presentation on Harvard Law School. So if anybody has any questions or comments, feel free. Try and make it as entertaining as possible. Kind of difficult, but I tried. So hope you all liked it. And that is that. I just have to stop sharing. Now I can see all your beautiful faces again and transfer back ownership to JoJo. How do I do that?
All right. Thank you very much, Diego. That was, I mean, I knew most of that stuff, but, you know, as a proud law school student, but it definitely helps give a measure of pride to us as future lawmakers. So we will, Peter, if you want to bring back up the agenda, and we can move on. Just if everyone saw that Peter put in the chat, if you're a representative who was not around when we did the roll call, and if you could just message him and let him know that you are here now, that would be excellent, just so we can keep record. So we'll now turn to public comments, and we actually have two of them to start with, both coming from one of our wonderful representatives. So Nariman, the floor is yours.
Hi, folks. I hope everyone is well and managing to stay healthy and safe in this crazy week. And my comments are related to this in this crazy week. I just wanted to ask, it is really more of a question, and I'm trying to open it up for comments and advice and any sharings that you have. And this is related to the big topic of security on both fronts, on the front of the US and the front for international students. So for the US, what kind of support, what kind of resources can we put in together and distribute among our schools for this week of elections, and to make sure everyone stays safe where they are and can access the available resources to them. On the other side, on the other front of the international level, of course, international students are facing like so many different things that are so hard even to keep up with, but specifically speaking about countries that have extreme cases of unrest, uprisings, or massacres, and with that I'm thinking about Nigeria and Chile, which at HGC, for example, we have students there. So if there are any university-wide resources that we can direct those students to while they're not being in the US, I'm also appreciating any comments. Last question is related to, are all the schools, is it a Harvard-wide decision, or is it only is it a Harvard-wide decision that no international students not to be issued I-20 forms to be able to issue student visa? Like, is this the case for all of the schools, or is it only our case at HGC? So just wanted to know. And thank you so much.
Okay, so there are a lot of questions there, but if any representatives can speak to the experience at their school, if you want to chime in using the raise hand feature. I can say that as far as, I mean, I think, Avinaya is probably his work now with the HIO, right, the International Student Office, and may have some insight on this. Avinaya, if you want to also chime in with a sense for these things, but it is certainly something we can try to bring up. Sorry, go ahead, Anya.
Yeah, I don't know to the specific questions you raised, Nariman. I don't know if there are any like I don't have any specifics, but if you can send me those questions, I can reach out to my contact at the HIO and see if there's anything that they're aware of and follow up with you. But right now, I don't have any, I can't think of any specific like university-wide resources that have been advertised around the issues you raise. But would be interested to hear if other schools have had their individual institutions respond or send out messages to their student bodies.
Yeah, I can speak about HMS briefly. Here from our administration, they've said that you can take the time and work with your preceptors and other teachers to find opportunities to vote. But what I think is really critical moving forward is really creating space for people to process and understand the election. So looking beyond the actual voting day and into the weeks ahead. And I don't know if there's anything like that at HMS, but I would like to see something like that, an event or a discussion or some collaborative process for people to process whatever happens over the next couple weeks.
Sorry, we have a request from Rachel in the chat. Never mind, if you could, if it's possible, if you could write out what is happening at your school and maybe just speak to it as well. But I think someone else was about to chime in. Yep.
I have a question about this,
Yeah.
about the international student part. What exactly are you looking for, Nariman? Like, is this a are you trying to figure out if this is a school issue or a government issue?
For the I-20 question, yes, William. For the I-20 question, I was trying to figure out if it's a school issue or a full university issue. For the other question that is related to security resources in general, it was really an exploration question. I'm not entirely even sure what I'm looking for because I'm just like looking for it if there is something that is there and I don't know of, and I'm looking for it for both US and international students, like US based and outside of US based.
Yeah, okay, so to my understanding for I-20s, schools can issue I-20s, but the visas are part of the government. So the school can issue as many I-20s as it wants, but if the government refuses to accept it, that's a government thing. So if your school is refusing to issue 120s or having trouble issuing 120s, that's probably different from the visas being denied.
And also one thing, Turner Cooper, he, him, his pronouns, HGC. One thing that was brought to my attention regarding resources was oh shoot, I just lost my train of thought. I'll come back.
Okay.
Okay.
So what?
Oh, sorry, Jojo.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ian. I didn't realize you were raising your hand because it's a thumbs down. But go ahead.
I can't find the raise hands button. I must be an idiot.
Oh, because you're a co-host. That's right. Okay, go ahead.
And I don't know how to turn that off. So great. I'm sorry. It's fine. But I don't know if this is going to be helpful at all. But when we talked to our Dean of Students office, all of like the visa issues, like at least what HLS has been doing is like trying to be as conservative as possible to prevent students from being um, possibly legally sanctioned for any reason. And they've or the administration has gotten counsel to try to see if there's a way kind of like to use the law with that kind of stuff. So I want to go with it's probably a government thing and not a university thing. And I don't know if that's like a school by school basis either, but that might be what's making everything harder.
But we can definitely try to reach out to the administration and see if we can get some clarity on that. So thank you for bringing that the I-20 issue forward. And a reminder in terms of the support as well. I mean that, you know, regardless of what the government does, there could be some measure of support, and we can put something together for that too. And perhaps if you'd like to work on that with us as well, then we can put together something. I want to give acknowledgement a chance if anyone else has a public comment. So I guess we'll take another second. If anyone else has something they'd like to share, then please speak now or hold your peace for a little bit of time.
My thought came back to me. Hey,
Great, go ahead.
Was for the students who are international who are looking for resources because of the challenging nature in our in their respective country. It was brought to our attention that this could also be an opportunity, in particular for HGSC students, to leverage. And I don't know if the respective schools across the university have it, but the COVID-19 emergency fund. That this might fall under a way of getting, if the response is like financial support from the college or whatever it may be, that could be a possibility or a bucket if your respective colleges have it very similar to what HGSE has.
That makes sense, and I think you'd have to check on the school level for that. But thank you, Turner. Okay, so now we can move to my favorite part of the evening, which is updates from everyone. In terms of executive updates, there is actually not a whole lot to report. Ivy, we had the sort of debrief from the Ivy Plus Summit this week, where essentially what happens is we're going to take the findings from that and put them together and then bring them to the administration. It's actually a very good setup, and they already have had it in place for many years. So that will come, and that meeting is, I think, in the third week of November. So we will follow up with that. I'll follow up with that after, or Chensi and I will follow up with that after we have met with the administration. And other than that, things are running smoothly from from a high point of view. And hopefully we will have some more things. There are a couple of things in the very early stages that hopefully we'll have in a couple weeks. And so I will turn it over to Imogen Peter for operations.
I was just really gonna really quickly just mention that we're going to start probably having our advisory meeting soon with our advisors, which one of them will be Marshall, who you'll see today from the Provost office, as well as people from Harvard Housing and the Common Spaces, and from Jackie Yoon, who was one of the people who attended Ivy Plus Summit with us, and then also the Committee of Deans of Students, I think KODOS. So we're gonna have our meeting with them soon, and I just want to bring that up because I know one of our school reps, Chuck, here today, he spoke a few weeks ago about gathering a committee for people who wanted to think about maybe doing some sort of safely socially distanced commencement. So if you guys are still interested in that, please let Chuck know, because I'm following up with Kodos to basically see if that's a possibility. So let Chuck, who's our HBS rep, know if you're still interested in working on that. And that's all I have.
Great. Sorry to cut you off, Chensia. I just was really excited to get to operations. We can now go ahead. Take it away, Imogen, Peter.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for being here. My updates are brief, and then Peter will jump in with a little bit more of the logistics. So in terms of scheduling meetings, Peter and I are trying to schedule one-on-one meetings, as we mentioned before, with our representatives, which are you guys, and also the presidents. So I will be primarily scheduling the meetings with the presidents from your schools. Peter is going to be taking the role of scheduling the one-on-one meetings with you guys, and we'll try to go to as many meetings as we can if we have any overlaps with their schedule. And this will just be an opportunity for you to hear more about the Harvard Graduate Council, ask any questions that are kind of hard to ask in, such a big group. And also we'll give Peter and I the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about the HGC and how we can further support your school's efforts throughout the year. So keep an eye out for those emails, and definitely feel free to reach out with any questions in the meanwhile. And then now I'm gonna hand it over to Peter to talk a little bit more about the constitutional and bylaw amendments and some polls as well.
Hi everyone, so I believe we mentioned this at the last meeting, but we are bringing, so usually there's a constitutional amendment discussion at the latter half of the spring semester every year. And this year, because of the way that COVID and Zoom and things like that have been happening, the board has also discussed several amendments that we think is pretty time sensitive and important that we'd like to bring to the council a little bit earlier. So we would like to bring up a list of amendments that we have sort of thought of and want to gather your input on them before we actually vote on it at the end of this semester. So we know that's quickly approaching. So some of the things that we've discussed was the in-person presence, obviously very different from what the Constitution outlines because of the nature of COVID. We want to potentially discuss the opportunities for video submissions, whether or not that was entirely fair, given the fact that there's missed opportunities for question and answer sessions for people who are candidates that submit videos. And other discussions include whether or not that you can serve on both your respective school student governments, as well as be an alternate if you're also on the executive board, and potentially a tardiness policy in our general council meetings. So those are a list of a couple things that we sort of have jotted down in terms of potential constitution and bylaw amendments that we're thinking of bringing forward. Obviously, we'd love to hear your input as well, and as reps, you are the primary people to vote on it. As the executive board, we cannot vote. So, if you not only have input on the list of amendments that we're thinking of, as well as proposed new ones that you are thinking about, we'd love to hear about them. I know that we did say poll, but I do want to be respectful of everyone's time, so I'm actually not going to take a poll. But some of the things that I was thinking about was how we can sort of gather everyone's thoughts and inputs and potential opportunities for debates and going back and forth without using up too much council time. So whether that is creating a sub-policy committee under myself to facilitate conversations, or do an anonymous Google form to sort of gather input. Obviously, there's pros and cons to everything, whether that's one-way communication versus two-way communication. So really trying to be creative here, but I would really love to hear from all of you about that. So please send me an email if you have any thoughts. And like Hima just said, I will also be doing one-on-one, so hopefully that conversation will be brought up there as well. Imogen, I also talked about just something kind of fun that we can do since in lieu of our council retreats, since that won't be happening this year because our virtual nature of things. We want to do some other internal social bonding activities. So we were thinking of doing a potential Secret Santa. We want to see if there was enough interest for people to want to do this. We understand that it might be sort of difficult with shipping things, particularly for people who are outside of the US, but we think that people can get creative with digital gift cards and email way of doing things, and I don't know, Amazon gifting things. So yeah, Himajit, did you want to take a poll on this, or did you just want to think that idea out?
I think in the interest of time, if people can just message me privately or in the group chat if they think it's a good idea, we'd love to just get your feedback. And so far, it looks like it's going pretty well. So keep sending your feedback. I'll keep monitoring the chat. Thanks.
Cool. Sorry, I opened up someone's link. Thanks, Hugh. That was from you. I'm glad to see that there's another debate online mechanism. I'll definitely check that out. All right, so yeah, that's it for us.
Great, thanks, Ops. And for some very now, yeah, for some good updates on the solid work they're doing, we turn to Abhinaya and Cynthia.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming tonight. In terms of advocacy and policy, nothing majorly different from my previous updates around just continuing to finalize the EAC membership. I haven't heard back from some schools around who their EAC member is, so we'll be circling back again on that this week. I just wanted to raise, given that it sounds like there are some issues that are coming up across schools, whether that be around support we might want for the institution, from the institution in the aftermath of the election. I would definitely be open to, if there's a group of reps who want to speak to me around having this as an advocacy issue, please reach out. We can use this time in the agenda to talk about shared advocacy issues that we want to address across the institution. So just want to let folks know this is another opportunity in the agenda to discuss advocacy issues that cut across schools. But no other updates from me. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Abhinaya. And now let's turn to Heidi and Tara, who are going to give us exciting production to come. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm going to be talking about the One Harvard podcast. So we are currently in the works, and we're proposing a One Harvard podcast, which essentially acts as a bridge almost between graduate schools and students to share ideas, different projects we're working on, events, just general stuff, which is going on in the Harvard campus. And I think this is important just because it is a virtual semester right now, and even if it wasn't a virtual semester, I think this podcast is really essential because the Graduate Council over here functions not only just to represent the graduate schools, but to advocate for and address issues and connect all the graduate schools. So we felt a podcast was a great way to do that. So just to get into the small technicalities of this, we're kind of envisioning each episode to almost feature a different graduate school and a different pursuit. So episodes will be monitored by myself and Heidi, and we are encouraging all reps and exec members to act as co-hosts. If you guys have any ideas or are interested in this project, you can interview a student organization, talk about a passion project, interview somebody like a faculty member, maybe alumni. So there's a lot we can do essentially in this project. It is super open to suggestions. We are welcoming all kinds of things right now. So for example, I'm at the GSD and I'm also part of Women in Design. And we can do an episode where we interview women in design and talk about the work they're doing. So just stuff like that, which is going on in all the different schools, stuff that you guys really care about and want to share with the community. Episodes will be anywhere from 20 to maybe 40, 50 minutes long, just depending on the conversation. So it is fluid how you want to structure the episodes, but we'll obviously get into that according to the episode. And then our presence is going to be on Spotify and Apple Music. So we will be sharing this as like a proper podcast, and people can just listen because they have these apps. So it's It's accessible. It's nothing new that they have to download, and it's super easy. So yeah, we are looking for any exec members and reps to suggest or co-conduct interviews if there are any ideas you have. We'll also be sending out an email later with a form, so you guys can type stuff in. And yeah, this is basically what we're kind of up to. And Heidi can add if she likes.
No, I think you basically summarized everything really well. And I think just to kind of move into our next bullet point, which is just to be sure to follow us on social media. Tara and I are in the process of reviewing all the analytical information for all of our communication efforts, which we're hopefully going to be able to present at our next meeting. In the meantime, we do know that our strength in terms of communication with other counselors, but also the community at large, is primarily within our social media network. One area for sure, which I'm going to add into the chat room, is we also have a LinkedIn. So if you're not following us now, please be sure to share that and to follow us there as well, because that's kind of our weakest social media point at this point. So other than that, yeah, we look forward to working with everyone on the podcast episodes. And if you have any suggestions, we're open to hearing from everyone. So that's all I got.
Great, thanks so much. Should we move on to student life next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So great to see everyone again. So first, I just wanted to say thank you so much on behalf of Harvard Votes Challenge. Some of you may not know today is actually Election Hero Day. We wanted to say we're so grateful and proud on how each council is supporting your HGC leaders, such as HGC. You are lending your entire advocacy team to our HGC leaders, and law school, your social media content look amazing. And thank you all the reps for doing a final outreach this week. So once again, you proved we are a strong team working on this campaign since this summer. So tomorrow is all about voting and celebrations. Please continue to ask folks to take pictures and post it on social media channels. Thanks to Amaran and Tara, our vice chair, you can continue to feature stories on our HGC social media if your student bodies are sending us pictures. And each council are also encouraged to partner up with student services offices and student organizations to create space and resources for folks to post election, such as Taylor from Divinity School. She's working with the grad circle events, and she's also working on Divinity School Lab open to Harvard community events. Nariman, also to answer your questions about support for election, I just want to let everyone know some of the schools already reached 80% pledge to vote this week. So HGC have been working really hard on campaign since the summer to support all university organizations. You can also find resources on our website, and you can also encourage students to call our hotline 101 81010 if you have any questions. I will also be passing along some communication support by midnight today. So if you're posting anything tomorrow, I'll make sure you have all the resources you need. You can also put out some info or educational materials on your website on how ballots are counted to help students understand what will happen tomorrow. I'll make sure I'll organize all the information from HGC and send everyone tonight. But just in case, if you're sending any information before midnight, I'll send the link here. So you can use the language and some of the graphics from Harvard Votes Challenge if you're posting tonight. So after Grad Fest and after the election, me and Amber really want to work on our own initiative. So that is the Student Life event series. So this event series is to promote the spirit of One Harvard and give every council an opportunity to work with each other to really to bridge the physical and cultural distance, increase inter-school collaboration, and joint advocacy on issues students care about. This week, Amarin had a meeting with Group 1, so we are actually aiming to do some kind of events for Education Week before Thanksgiving this year. And for Group 2, we already have a very successful event this summer about health and wellness. Medicine in Motion have another amazing event coming up, and they are looking for support from 12 reps. So this will basically be a competition between 12 councils, and this will be a One Harvard event, but I'll leave some time for Logan and Amanda later. They are our guests because they will actually introduce this event later. Now I'll just give Emma some time to do a little introduction about the Group 1 event and some of the next steps that she was thinking. I also want to mention, by collaborating with each other, each reps, you don't really have to attend all the meetings every week. Our goal is actually to hear your ideas about what do student needs right now? What kind of guest speakers does your student body want, like us to invite? I'll pass this to Amarin.
Yeah, thanks so much, Angela. So for Group 1, we're aiming to do something this semester. Timing wise, it doesn't make sense to do it in December, so the only time we have is November 24th, which is Tuesday. We're still finalizing the time. Unfortunately, for our first meeting, we couldn't get reps from all the different schools, but I'll be sending a follow-up to see if we can meet for 30 minutes on Thursday. The plan would be, again, very flexible, but also given the time constraint, to maybe do 1 or 2 panels on that day. We actually have someone who is the global head of social impact or education impact from Google who is willing to speak. So we might want to look for a couple other panelists and figure out an interesting theme that could like bring us all together. But yeah, I think the next steps are Thursday, I'll be sending out a meeting invite. And then if you can't make it on Thursday or prior to Thursday, if you have any ideas on speakers to reach out to or potential topics or questions that we want to address, absolutely. I think we all have the Google Doc. Would be great if you could share your thoughts there.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Amarin. So yeah, I just got a question. I'm so sorry. For the School of Design is in Group 3, we actually have to postpone the collaboration for the spring semester. But I was also thinking if any of these 4 schools, GSAS, CES, HDS, and Design School, if you want to support any of the initiative for Group 1 and 2, feel free to join them. So maybe for the spring semester, we'll have something different. So Design School will be Group 3. I'm sorry. I was writing this in a rush, maybe. Sorry about it. And Amarin also wants to talk about the university-wide Slack group. Amarin, do you still want to talk about this?
Oh, yes. So I know that, so I've been getting feedback from different students and different communities. And one common piece is that it's really hard to connect with each other's like schools. It's relatively easy to figure out like who to reach out to within that particular school because every school has their own Slack channel. So just wanted to get people's thoughts on a university-wide Slack group or an idea that tackles the challenge or the sort of the root cause. And I wanted to open this up to discussion in case anyone had any initial thoughts to share.
Just a quick question. You're proposing that this would be covered financially from where, Amrit?
I think like you mean the university-wide Slack group? Yeah, I think if the idea moves forward, then we'd have to figure out whether it is financed through like a portion of the budget that we get from HGC, or is this something that we get further financing or budget, or can make a case through like the marshal's office. I think that's more of a, like, I don't know, in my head I'm thinking that's more of like a once a decision is made kind of a question. But that's a fair point, like all comes down to the money.
One question and one comment. The question is, do we need financing for a Slack group? Like, is it a subscription? Do you have to pay? And then Rachel has a follow-up. But the second thing, which is a point, is I believe that certain members of GSAS have already, they don't like that. Sorry, certain members of GSAS have already started talking about that idea as well. And so I will connect you with them just because, you know, we don't want to have redundant efforts to set up the same thing. But if we can work with them, it would be excellent. So.
Yeah, so to answer your first question, I believe we have to pay given like the number of people we'll have on it and to get the kind of services we're looking for. And the second question that came in the chat was like speaking a little bit more about how that would work. What I was envisioning is it could be one Slack channel. Obviously, I'm not saying we decommission the existing like informal ones that everyone else has, but in this Slack channel, we have like different, I guess, or Slack group, different channels for different schools, but there's also opportunities for people to like be paired up through coffee chats. I know if you purchase Donut, it can do like automated coffee chats, connecting people, opportunity to post events versus like socialize remotely, which is a little bit more like you have to go to the site and check it out. I haven't put together a full strategy around it because I don't want to boil the ocean. I just wanted to see if there was truly the need for something like this. But there's a lot more brainstorming that could go into it. But again, I'm not saying this should be the way to go. Just want to hear people's thought. Is the Slack enterprise grid insufficient? I'm not too familiar with that, William.
Yeah, so Slack Enterprise Grid is something that at least GSAS has. It might be for all of Harvard, but basically it's one license for a ton of workspaces, and you authenticate with your Harvard key. And you can create as many Slack groups as you want, but basically it's on Harvard's dime. And that supports all the functionalities you would want, I would think. Harvard only got this in like August, so it's kind of understandable that this isn't particularly well known, but it's a great way for student organizations to create free, unlimited Slack groups. Yeah.
Okay, I can.
Yeah, so just in the interest of time, I'm going to move on with the other updates on this. There are other ones from events, but if anyone has any other comments, please feel free to put them in the chat now or put them into the WhatsApp, and we'll get to them and hopefully move this forward.
Awesome, thank you, everyone.
So last but not least, we have updates from Brett and Saeed.
All right, so for finance, I got some public shaming to do. I think we're still waiting on swag submissions from Nicholas, Tarika, Nirman.
Oh God, my name is coming.
Rachel, if you want to do that. So shame on you for not doing that. But please do so by the end of this meeting. That'd be great. Then we'll order it and then get it out to you guys. I'll put the link here as well if you don't have it. Turn it over to Saeed.
Hey everyone, so yeah, the One Harvard Catalyst Fund. If you haven't heard about it, it's going to be, the priority deadline will be this Friday. That's just the priority deadline. That's when we're hoping most applicants would apply. But we're going to have a rolling deadline thereafter. I'll put the link also in the chat. Grants will be for up to 2,500. So the purpose of this is really bringing One Harvard together. So this is across all the university-wide student groups. We encourage you to apply. We encourage you to get the word out there. We have it on social media, share it. And on that note, we'll also be having if you're on the finance committee, this Sunday, which will be the 8th, same time, we'll be meeting to reflect on applicants and applications and see how we will move forward.
Okay, and then lastly, we've got a couple gold stars to give out too. And so I can find the gold stars. Okay, so gold star number 1, put here on the side, that goes to Diego. And then the second one goes to William. Those two are the only 2 members that have submitted their expenses during this meeting. So if you have meal expense reimbursements that you want to submit, you should do it sooner rather than later. You guys do get $20 for every meeting, and I think most of you guys do eat. So if you don't submit it, it's like, throwing away $20, and who wants to do that? Here's the link for that as well.
Okay, we now have a second presentation, as was previewed by Angela and Irene, by the wonderful folks from Medicine in Motion, who ran a fantastic event this summer and are here to tell us about their next way to keep everyone healthy. So I will turn it over to Amanda and Logan. And if one of you can let me know if you would like to screen share, then I can give you permissions for that.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Amanda. I'm here with Logan as part of Medicine in Motion's leadership. We're both students at Harvard Medical School, and it'd be great if I could screen share, so if you could give me privileges, I'm sure that'd be amazing.
You are good to go.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I'll let Logan introduce himself, and then we can start our presentation.
Hey, everybody. So yeah, Amanda is really the head honcho of all of our Harvard Grad Council events, so I'm going to let her take over pretty quickly and talk more about our goals with Harvard Grad Council in collaboration this summer. But as one of the co-founders of Medicine in Motion, I'll just give a quick background for those who haven't heard of us. We can jump to the next slide, but my name is Logan Briggs. I'm a fourth year at Harvard Medical School and one of the co-founders and the current chair of Medicine in Motion. Which is a group that a few classmates and I started during our first year of medical school to promote wellness, prevent burnout, and do so by building community through fitness and philanthropic events. The other co-founders and I found that working out together contributed so significantly to our physical, mental, and social wellness that this was definitely what got us through the challenges and rigors of medical school. And so Medicine in Motion was basically our way to extend those benefits to our classmates. And if we jump to the next slide, this is also our way to extend that benefit to as many others as we can. So this just shows all of our chapters, which are, we have 35 chapters in 5 to 7 countries. I think this slide is a little bit out of date, but jumping to the next slide, this does a better job of showing what we actually do, which is holding athletic events, whether that's bike rides like the Pan Mass Challenge, some of you have probably heard about if you've been in Boston, raises money for cancer research, or Spartan races, triathlons, etc. Just anything that gets people together to be active and promote wellness and build community, which I think is really where we overlap with Harvard Grad Council and trying to build community in the communities that we are a part of. We also always try to incorporate a philanthropic component into the events that we do. And usually that's for some kind of medical cause. This year it's actually for the public health crisis of racism. And so with that, I'll just leave it to Amanda to talk about how we want to promote wellness, build community, and address racism with Harvard Grad Council this summer.
Yeah, so I'll first speak about our campaign that we started this summer. It was called the MOVE campaign, and it was started in light of instances of racial injustice that occurred over the summer, and out of a desire to play to our strengths of emphasizing physical wellness and community building, to host wellness events, exercise classes, virtual runs, with the goal of raising funds and awareness for racial justice. So we raised so far over $14,000 for organizations including the NAACP, National Bailout, Inner City Weightlifting, which is an organization in Boston that uses weightlifting as a way to help children from disadvantaged backgrounds, and Inala Wangara, which is an organization in Australia, which also works towards racial justice in Australia. And the MOVE campaign also was started from a recognition that with everyone being distanced and a lot of virtual learning over the summer, that community building was especially important this summer. So we really wanted to continue that, continue community building, and also work towards a cause that's really relevant right now. And so part of the MOVE campaign was a summer event with HGC that included a Zumba and Latin dance class, a fitness challenge, and then a mental health town hall that was specifically focused on the experiences of Black students. And so we invited many experts for that event. And from the fitness challenge, we invited people to run, bike, walk, get active however they chose. And we also mapped out a course in Cambridge/Somerville that was in the shape of BLM. And so we had some students run that course and also just run BLM in the shape around Boston. And then if you look at one image, actually one group ran it in San Francisco from one of our UCSF chapters for Medicine in Motion. And so the final event of our MOVE campaign is happening in November, from November 21st to 29th. And we would love to have Harvard grad schools to participate in this event as well. And we think it'll be a great way to continue raising money for a good cause and raising funds and awareness for racial justice, as well as bringing Harvard grad schools together and building a sense of community between schools and within schools. So this is our first annual Olympiad. It's also a virtual event, and it consists of 3 different, I guess, events within the Olympiad. There's a 5K run, a half marathon bike, and then a HIIT workout that we have written out and that we're inviting participants to do. And so participants can choose to do any event or all of the events, however many they choose, and they can submit your time to the leaderboard. So we'll be having a leaderboard. And we would love to have schools form teams. We think that would be a great way to build community and also have this sense of friendly competition between teams, which could be really fun. And we'll award points for placing on the leaderboard and also for participation in general. So we really want to bring as many people out as possible. And then we'll also be dividing the leaderboard by gender and by age groups. So that way, if faculty would like to participate, they won't be competing against healthy, like 20-something-year-olds and or like young 20-something-year-olds. And so our goal really is just to bring people together, to foster a sense of community between people on the same team, so people can meet people within their own school, but also use this as an opportunity to kind of have this sense of friendly competition, which we'll think will also make people feel more connected around this time. And so we would love to have Harvard grad schools invited and involved as teams. So currently we're planning to have Medicine in Motion medical schools all form their own teams, but we would love to have each of the Harvard grad schools also form their own teams. So we would really appreciate help from Harvard Grad Council and from the class reps to really get schools excited. We think that the more students we can get excited and the more participation we get, the more we can build the sense of connectedness among the Harvard community, even as a lot of people are spread out across different parts of the country and the world. So we would really, really appreciate it if you could help us email out to your school listservs, message out to group chats or group meets or whatever your school uses. Word of mouth would be amazing. If you know people who are interested in exercise and running, biking, HIIT workouts, or like kind of CrossFit style workouts, please invite them to participate. And then also, we would love to have faculty invited too. We found that within Medicine in Motion, that inviting faculty to these kinds of informal events is a really great way to build connections in a kind of easy and informal way that can later on turn into really meaningful mentorship relationships. So we would love to have faculty invited as well. And then as always, with all of our MOVE campaign events, we'll be using this event to also raise funds and awareness towards racial justice. So as part of that, we have donations as optional. And if people would like to fundraise or donate, we would definitely encourage that. And we would really appreciate any donations towards our 4 charities. And so, yeah, so with that, I guess that's our presentation. We really hope you're excited about this event. If you have any questions or suggestions, we would love to hear those too. And thank you so much for having us here. I'll stop.
Thank you so much, Amanda and Logan. Maybe if you guys have a good email address to reach by, if you want to, or other way to contact, if you want to put it in the chat. And just in the interest of time, unless someone has an absolute, burning question that they couldn't send via email, I think we will forgo questions for the moment. But I think please feel free to reach out to the Medicine in Motion folks, and hopefully people will be able to put together teams for the Olympiad. So I think at this point, just in the interest, wrapping up, the one announcement, big other announcement that we have as the HGC is just once again, in the interest of trying to be sensitive to the timing of individuals who may not be able to, who are in different time zones, who are far flung all around the world, and who therefore are joining us now at incredibly odd hours. If it would be possible for them for us to meet at different times. So please fill out the when to meet. We actually, I think we're putting together another one because I think that one is just for Monday, and we're looking at the possibility of being on different days as well. So we will send out a when to meet, an updated link. We will put it in the representative's WhatsApp. If you are a representative, you're not in that, then please reach out to us, and we will reach out with the when to meet so that hopefully we can help. We can all figure out a time to meet for at least a few of the meetings that is more accommodating for everyone, because we are one Harvard and we want everyone to have the ability to participate with their full minds and hearts involved. So I think with that, we can, if any of the reps would like to motion for adjournment, we can do that at this point.
Cease would like to motion to adjourn.
Anyone second?
Second.
Great. All right, so thank you all so much for coming. We are adjourned for the evening, and we will send out updates. Please keep the conversation going. Go Harvard.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great night.
Bye.